I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years and have helped guide hundreds of families into retirement. And in today's video, I want to share with you five of the top things that I share with my clients that they should think about stop doing in their 50s and 60s in order to enjoy their journey more until they get to retire. And the first one is stop pretending. You know, we all are who we are. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. And by the time you get to your late 40s, your early 50s, your 60s, you are who you are. And so stop pretending. Stop trying to be somebody that you're not, that you're not. And particularly, and we have our kind of work persona and we have our home persona. And boy, it just being being at peace with both of those. And there is always going to be a little bit of a difference, right? We've got to be, for most of us, we have to be a little more professional at work, but trying to get those two personalities so you are who you are 24 hours a day, not 3 hours a day, not 8 hours a day. And the next one that I think is the thief of joy, the thief of relaxation, the thief of peace and comfort is worry. It's super easy to worry. There's a lot of things to worry about. As we get older, we tend to have more responsibilities. The nice thing about your late 40s, your 50s, your 60s, many of those responsibilities are now behind us. And as I reflect back on my life, as I reflect back on the lives of many of my clients, there were many a night spent worrying unnecessarily. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. We don't know what that's going to bring. And, by the time you're 50 years old, we've all done screwball things that, in hindsight, we wish we hadn't done. So all of us are going to have some regrets, but, minimizing the beating yourself up for things that might have happened in the past and minimizing the worrying about the future, the mental health and just staying as solid as you can mentally is super important. Uh, until the last 5 years, really, until the pandemic taught me this, which is it's super easy to kind of connect the dots and say, because I see this, and this bad thing's going to happen. But, for instance, I was super, super worried during the pandemic. And many of the things I worried about, thank goodness. I mean, it wasn't handled perfectly, but it could have been a lot worse. And so a lot of my worst fears, I had seen one too many zombie movies. So, the second one is to stop worrying. Um, a close cousin to that is it's different, but I think it's a close cousin is comparing yourself to others, right? I mean, if we compare our life to somebody that lived 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 1,000 years ago, oh my goodness. Yeah. We are living better than the kings and queens of their time. And yet it's super easy to compare ourselves to the person across the street, the person we went to high school with, a friend of ours from college, and think, wow, they've had enormous success and I haven't had that level of success. I went to business school with more than one person of a pretty small class of less than 400 people, more than one person that became a billionaire. Um, and I'm far. I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful, but I'm far from that. But if I compared myself to other people, that would just cause me a lot of stress and would steal the joy. I mean, the reality is, here I am in this beautiful location, taking a beautiful walk on the beach. I'm here with my family. I have a tremendous amount to be grateful for, and I think all of us do. But yet, if we compare ourselves to other people, it's really easy to say, well, my kids don't get to go to that school, and I wish they could have gone to that school. Um, I'm not driving as nice of a car. That's not a factor for me, or whatever it is. But the reality is, every opportunity we have really puts us on a different path, and nobody knows, is that path going to be better or is that path going to be worse? Where I went to business school, a couple years after I went, unfortunately, there was several students that got in a car accident and died. And, you know, had they gone to a different school, would that have happened? Probably not. So none of us know what the path is going to be. So I think comparison is the thief of life. I think another thing that we all need to watch out is maybe over indexing on the things that we can measure. And specifically what I mean by that is our savings and our investment accounts. Uh, Again, as a financial advisor for over 20 years, I've seen people, have great successes, excuse me, and still let money be one of their primary concerns in life. And really, even though in almost any scenario, they're gonna be fine. And unfortunately, this concern over money or whatever the concern is, just because you can measure it doesn't mean it's more important. I would argue the most important thing, is our health, is our health both physically but also mentally, and our relationships in life. And if we have that, and I've seen this, I've been fortunate enough to travel around the world, and in many parts of the world, they don't have IRAs, they don't have 401ks. Their retirement account is a 3 or 4 letter word, but instead of 401k, instead of IRA, is KIDS. It's their kids, it's their family. And many people in their 30s are feeling the pressure of being able to retire their parents. So, we have a very different culture here in the United States. We raise our kids to be independent, to leave the house, and that has its pros and cons to it. I do think that there's a lot of advantages to having this intergenerational connection where there's a reason for us to stay connected. So we talked about comparing ourselves. We talked about regrets in worrying. And I think another one that, to stop doing is sacrificing our health for our jobs. Here, I'll give you a sun's starting to go down. I'll give you a nice shot of that. It's easy for us to say, you know what, I'm going to work late again today. I'm gonna work extra hard. I'm going to give up that session at the gym. And the reality, when you're in your 20s and you have a lot of health and you have a lot of time in front of you, that can be a good trade off as we're building up our skill set, as we're building up our networks. Somebody that's 20 has 40 years for those sacrifices to pay off for them. But at our age, how long do we really have for that to benefit us? And what are we trading off to get in exchange for that? Right? When we work 60 hours a week instead of 45 hours a week, what do we get for those extra 15 hours if we're only going to work another 2, 3, 4 years? Yes, we have pride in our work. Yes, there's a craftsmanship. Yes, there's a desire to do our best work, and that doesn't end as we get older. But there's other things that we only have so much time to do. And, some of those sacrifices are okay to make and others are not. And that's why I encourage people to think about when they're going to retire. And that's why I made this video up here. Why waiting to 65 to retire might be a big mistake. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.